Whatever man builds, all his calculations, all the nights spent over working drafts and blueprints, invariably culminate in a production of a thing whose sole and guiding principle is the ultimate principle of simplicity. It is as if there were a natural law which ordained that to achieve this end, to refine the curve of a piece of furniture or the fuselage of an aeroplane until it gradually partakes of the purity of the curve of a human breast, there must be experimentations of several generations of craftsmen. In anything at all, perfection is finally attained not when there is no longer anything to add, but when there is no longer anything to take away. We are beginning to find our simplicities in cello playing. We are turning it at last from a complicated craft into an art. What do we want from our cello? What are our great simplicities? A beautiful tone, a live rhythm, the very living breath of music, clear intonation, and musical understanding. Music is, without doubt, the most highly developed art form of the 20th century. The cello used to be considered a big, clumsy, out-of-tune instrument, except for a few craftsmen like Boccherini and Romberg. But it has leapt into prominence and is probably going to be the most loved and desired instrument of the 21st century. Transportation in our jet age has shrunk our world until we get around easily on it. And transportation on the cello has shrunk it in size until we seem to get around so easily in it. People like Rostropovich and Casals seem to play it in one big, easy position. How do they do it? How can we teach others to do it? Most certainly not by the loads of old method books that have been handed down to us. They often begin with a long-held tone, one of the most difficult things to do. 8 long counts with a shaking bow this way, held right out to the point, and then 8 long counts back. I have always been fascinated by the human hand. A doctor student of mine knew of this fascination and told me a great deal about it. He compared the human hand with the foot, and he said that in complexity, you could compare the human foot to the city of New York and the human hand to the state of Nevada. I thought there was something wrong there, but he said that the human foot has its reflexes built into it, while the human hand works through the brain. This is one of the most interesting things from a musical standpoint. And so then he brought me a picture out of an anatomy book of the human brain. May I show it to you? It's right here. Here is a cross-section of the cortex of the human brain, and it shows the amount devoted to the toes, to the ankle, to the knee, to the hip, to the trunk, to the shoulder, to the elbow. Now we come to the wrist, and there's the amount to the wrist, to the hand, to the little finger, to the ring finger, to the index finger, to the thumb. Clear from here right over to there. If I were to take this out here, it would go way out over there for the whole rest of our body, up to our hand. The only thing that approximates it is the use of the human lips, but they do not come anywhere near as much as that wonderful human hand which works through the brain. Now, what does this do to us in cello teaching? How do we get that complicated brain to work through our finger? It is really very, very simple. Just try it with me now. Hold your hand up and just snap your finger a few times. Just snap your finger a few times. There it is. Now, that is not a reflex. You had to learn to do that. And how long does it take you to do it? How long does it take you to do that? Just try it. It's simultaneous. That's so that we can go right from that into the brain to the fingertip. I like to think then that the power is way back in the back. I call this the powerhouse and the reservoir. And the electric current just flows right out from the back, through the arms to the very fingertips. I like to think that the artist engineer is in charge of this whole electric plant, and that we can put out here anything we want. When we get out here, we can put on any attachments that we want. 1,000 of them. Just think them up. I don't want to say a toaster, a vacuum cleaner, even a TV set. Anything we want goes on here. Anything the human brain can think up, we can do through this electric current that comes down to us. And of course, this is very far removed from the finger exercises with which the old books began, which were just training the fingers alone. It is coming from the inside out. It's playing with the whole body. It is not playing just with our hands, but through our hands. Now, how do we carry this out when we're teaching? I would like to start and show it to you. May I introduce Emmanuel Vakakis to you. Emmanuel is 17 and he's going to Berkeley High. And now, Emmanuel, may I introduce the cello to you as if you were a beginner. To me, everything is the center balance. It's at the center of everything we do, from our very first steps, riding a bicycle, through to our most sophisticated skills. And now, let's see, I like a tripod balance there at the first. This is very much like a pianist's balance, except that for the piano is way out in front of them. And for Emmanuel, his the cello is right here. It is a part of himself. Emmanuel, if you'll just take that right now. Now, will you take a bear hug for me? I'm going to take your bow from you just so you can have a bear hug right there at the first. We like this. You see, our cello is just a part of us. I like to feel that the energy comes up through the spine of the cello and right down through the spine of the fingerboard, and that there are that it's centered in gravity right here, with a magnetic pull on the fingers. Now, I like to think of these as bear paws right here, and these as wings. It doesn't make any difference. I'm likely to change things around all the time, and it makes no difference. And I like to have the fingers fall very naturally right onto there, very freely. But how do they really fall? What is concerned with those fingers getting into the string the right way? I'm going to show you. We'll just call this footfall. And I would like to have you take hold of your foot way down here, just above the ankle. And now, don't will to pick it up, but try to. You can't. Nobody ever has been able to. You can try and try, but you won't. Now, will to. Your brain will to, and just let it go. My sakes, there's a regular fall. Try that again from right here. It goes up and then right down. That is the way the finger falls, through all of these sockets being so open and free. Then I like to come and compare that with the finger. I like to have this the hip joint, this the knee, this the ankle, and that the suction hand that is going on. There we have it. And the finger fall is so easy, and it's so strong. It's just as strong as the footfall if we have the right things behind it. Now we will go from there right back to something that we do with both hands. Will you give me your other hand right here? Now we're centered right here. And I never can feel that we can go from one side to the other without just feeling just like a clap, that there is no separateness between anything we do. So if you'll take your bow now, we're going to start with that right side and balance your bow. This is hard to do for anybody who isn't used to it. Now do circles. Now what is supporting that bow? Many people support it with their arm muscles right up here, and then they get tense in their hand. But you can see he is not at all tense. He is supporting it from the back muscles. And I would like to just show you a picture of how those back muscles work. Here it is right here. This is, of course, from an anatomy book. And we are able to see that the muscle ties right in from the back and goes all the way around here. We call this the girdle muscle, and it holds our whole arm up. These muscles should not be used to hold our arm up. Just to illustrate it, let me have you put your hand right back here and feel that girdle muscle, and then move your arm back and forth this way and back and forth this way, and you will feel that muscle working. But now do what many cellists do, of holding this arm up and doing this. You don't feel anything at all. You're using these muscles to hold it up. We want these wonderful girdle muscles to hold a light arm up, as in a dancer or anyone else there. Now I'm going to come back here again, Emmanuel, and see if we can get the clinging feel right after that. That's right, balance it again. There is what I call the clinging feel of the fingers. Oh, that's wonderful, Emmanuel. You see, even his thumb is free, but that clinging feel is something beautiful. Let's see if we can all do it. Just take your hands like that and see if you can get the feel of the freedom when they're like that. Now get them too tight and they're like that. That leads us directly, Emmanuel, to the baby clutch. And let's see, I think you can hold your bow in that hand, Emmanuel, while we do this. And I'm going to take Emmanuel's fingers here. He's going to give me the baby clutch. And now hold them too tight, Emmanuel, for me. Whoop! I'll pull them right out. Now hold them too loosely, and I'll pull them right out. Now give me a real baby clutch feel. This, a 2-day-old baby can hang by anyone's fingers with that, and there is no way that I can pull that out. I would pull my finger off before I could pull that off, and yet it is absolutely free there. That's excellent. I wish you'd all try that baby clutch. It gives you the feel of the bow into the string and the way the hand goes into the bow. That's fine. Thank you so much. I like to have feeling fingers here. I sometimes call them blind people's fingers. Now, Sophie, I'd like to see, I'm going to go over to Sophie right now and see what you can do, Sophie. This is Sophie Powell, and Sophie is 7 years old. She is not my student. She is not my student, but I call her my grand student. She is the student of mine, Rainey Sharp, who is a beautiful teacher and lives in Palo Alto. Now, Sophie, I'm just wondering what we'll do together. I'd like you to do, could you balance your bow on your thumb there? Sophie, you'll find it yourself. That's fine. There it is right there. That's fine, Sophie. All right, now, hold your bow right there in what we call an early bow hold, Sophie. Right there, that's fine. Now just give us a few tones right there, if you can. Circles. Beautiful, Sophie. Oh, that's lovely. Now maybe you want to hold it clear back here and do it again. That's wonderful. You see, Sophie, I know you know, but not everybody does, that we don't have to hold that bow up. with our back. There it is, right there. Do you see that? There it is, and it will hold itself right up there. That's it. And then you can feel with your finger that suction going right into the string, just like the bow hairs. Now, we enter the string sort of like a swimmer. Sometimes I say we enter like a swan that is going across the strings beautifully. Go across the strings for me. That's right. But underneath are all the little paddling things. It's like the boat really contacting with all the little teeth. That's right. Thank you. Now, Sophie, would you do some solos for me? I wonder if you would first do, let me see, we call that good luck, don't we? Mm-hmm. And it just uses the open strings, and I send a person home from the very first lesson with this. All right, Sophie, you play it for us. That was beautiful, Sophie. Now, how do we cross our strings? It used to be that we crossed them in great big levels like this, like going up and down stairs. But now we like to think that it's just like an escalator as you go up and down. Now, Sophie, do you have a solo you can play for this? Yeah. Oh, all right. Would you get it right ready there and play us a little solo for crossing the strings? Thank you, Sophie. That was just lovely. Now, there are other dimensions to our bowing. We think of our bow as just traveling across the string that way, but you know, it can bounce on it very, very nicely. We like that. We have that kind of a bounce. Sometimes we just have one that's almost like a pendulum. Now, let's start this and see if we can play a little solo just doing this. Now, Sophie came today just hoping that we wouldn't think she was a little beginner because she's only 7. And she does want to play a solo for us. So I think she's very anxious to. I think this is the time for you to do it, Sophie. Okay, just go right ahead and play your solo. Thank you so much, Sophie. I'm so glad we had a chance to let you play that. Now I'm going back to Emmanuel and see what he can do with the bow, doing more advanced things perhaps with the bow. Let me just see there. what we're going to have you do. I think one of the first things would be the elevator. We got this elevator, I'm sure, from Mr. Suzuki, a very great teacher. Go just... Now that's a good old freight elevator starting right from the basement. I'd like to show them, now do a little bit faster. That's right, Emmanuel. Now the purpose of this, if I may just show you, is that if he uses too much upper arm, it's going to go that way. If he uses too much forearm, it's going to go that way. If he uses too much hand, it's going to do that. We don't want any of these things. We want one simple act from the body out, a light arm. Now, Emmanuel, do the elevator again. Do a little bit faster. Now, have you got something to play that would show how we use that light arm when we enter something? All right, I'm going to stop you right there. We haven't got time for more today. We could go with the Dvorak Concerto forever, couldn't we? Okay, now comes something that I guess I call the grasshopper, and it is to get the bow to going faster. We think that we draw our bow across this way, and it takes so much time, but I really want it there and there and there and there. This, again, is through the whole arm from the shoulder socket and not out here, okay? That's it, Emmanuel. That's good. Yep. Now, that will give you a very fast bow on something. Could you illustrate something like that for us? That's fine. Now, I think that is enough for the right hand today, and I think that we'll come back to move on to the left hand. And for the left hand, I'm going to ask Carol Morrow if she will play for us. Carol is 15 years old, and she goes to Berkeley High School, and she loves to play the cello. Carol, first, just for fun, I didn't ask you to do this, but just for fun, start out with the Hinastera Pompeiana. This is just to show transportation on the cello. Go to it. Thank you, Carol. That is transportation, surely. Now, Carol, I'm going to ask you to play another type of a solo entirely, the Elegy by Fauré. And I hope that you will find in this many different types of things. One of the things that I feel makes for the future of the cello, it is the warm, warm vibrato, the many types of vibrato, a vibrato that can sometimes be almost cold. We call it a white tone, varying all of these so we don't just turn on a vibrato. It is getting around so easily on our instrument that we don't seem to know that there is such a thing as transportation. But it is above all having the love of the instrument and feeling that we're really playing something. So now, will you play for us? Now, what is our left hand responsible for? Our left hand is responsible for clear intonation, for getting around on the cello as we have just seen, and for defining a rhythm. Sometimes we will play a long bow and many decisive rhythms with our left hand, and then of course for a beautiful vibrato. But how do we get all these sensitive feels through? Well, of course, it's going to be exactly the same thing as it was for a right hand. It's the reservoir in the back, it's the arm being the transportation, and leaving the hand free for all of those 1,000 variations that we were speaking of. And it is also using that wonderful finger fall. So often the fingers have gotten absolutely locked in here, and we have to free those to come through from the center out. If the hand is too strong, the fingers are rigid and therefore weak and impotent. But if the hand is too weak, the fingers are just disconnected and they bypass that whole marvel of the unit of the hand. We really have a hand-finger relationship. I like to say that it's a family, individual relationship. The family exists for the individuals, but the individuals have to come through the hand. They can come no other way. And it is this wonderful relationship out here that we are forever lastingly working with. Now, how do we get through to this? I'm going to go over to Emmanuel and see if I can show him some of those things. Okay, Emmanuel, here we are again. And I guess we'll start you with bear hug. Go ahead. Because we start everything that way, from the center out, the cello and ourselves just being one. Now you can just lift this hand over to this side. And I guess the first thing we'll do, Emmanuel, will be a knuckle knock. Just go right up and down your instrument. This is so valuable for us. You can see I can just lift that hand up, but I can't pull him off. And yet he's free here. This is what we need. That's from there. That's wonderful, Emmanuel. That's just excellent. And also, his hand happens to be held just exactly as it's going to be held in his thumb position. He doesn't worry about it right now because this is his first lesson. But it would be that way. Now will you give us the siren, which I also give them right at the beginning, telling them that they are playing every single note that there is on the cello. Just go to it. I call these little pistons. Now watch the pistons. Thank you, Emmanuel. That's enough. That's just excellent. Now, just while we're doing that, and at the same time shaping the hand and getting the feel, see if you can just play 6. I find out everybody can if I just give them a chance, right from the beginning, before they've even done all the other things, shaping the hand. Go up again. Good. Do thirds now. That's wonderful, Emmanuel. That's just fine. I think you see the fun we can have that way, and the way the arm is absolutely free and delivers the hand here with the ear in control all the time. That's just where the artist engineer is all the time. Now, we feel here, at least I like to feel, that we're on automatic shift. It used to be that we shifted by positions up and down, and you could always feel when a person was going to shift. Now I feel that we're on automatic transmission, and everything is handled from the inside of the engine, right there. That's fine. Now, Emmanuel, have you got that rubber pad with you? This is just another. This is not a gimmick. This is to show you that just a rubber pad that we use for our cello, I picked one up one day and did this, I found it was good, illustrates the rubber contact that our finger must have rather than the steel one, and that we can play absolutely clearly this way. It won't sound beautiful, but that's beside the point. Now may I take you rather evenly? Just land where I put you. That's it. Now, that's it. I'd like you to come with just a smooth, just come from here down to there, Amanda. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. And there doesn't need to be that sound in between. And that also is a good form for the thumb position right there, isn't it, Emmanuel? So we have all of those things at once. Now, our main building of the left hand is right from the beginning by transportation, getting around on the instrument. And I do it by one-finger scales. Now, Sophie, I'm going to come over to you. And I'm going to ask you to do a B-flat one-finger scale right there. Now, remember, and you're going to shift with your arm. That's good to hold it there just a minute. Now, Sophie, I would like it if this little automobile could come right down to that very finger and not over there. That balanced right like that. That's fine. I like that to go right, nothing of this when we get up there. Just right. That's beautiful. Now let's see what somebody who had had even more years, who wasn't 7 years old, would do with that scale. This is what we would call the fill-in, and he'll do the same scale, built on the one-finger scale. Catch you right there, Emmanuel. That's wonderful. I love to see this. I wish I had Sophie's little car there to run right out on your arm, right to there. That is the way this position comes easily. It is one of the hardest positions on the cello otherwise. Can you show them how some people might do it, Emmanuel? Yeah, they get up over like that with this wrist high to get up over the mountain at that place. We don't need to at all. I always tell them to go up and come down to it, and it will always fit the hand right there. That's just fine. Now, Sophie, would you do a C major? That would be with your second finger all the way up. Now, remember, the arm right here is the transportation. All right? Yes, that's fine, Sophie. That's just fine. That's the way. That's just beautiful. Now, Emmanuel, what would you do? We like to put a whole turn on that, and I like to think this is the way we get to play Mozart easily, is just knowing that things can center around this second finger, and we can do it right from the very beginning, okay? My, that's easy, isn't it? Very easy. Okay, that's just fine. Now, supposing that we do a third finger, one-finger scale. May I say, all the time we're shaping the hand here, as you can see, all the fingers are following in relationship to the main one used. Go ahead. And right here, I start the feeling for a thumb position before they ever realize really that it is third finger, thumb, third. All right. Now, Emmanuel, will you take that right back up there and just give us something, Joy to the World by Handel, just to show us how we can play in that position and stay right across the strings. Go, yeah. Thank you, Emmanuel. He's just played in the keys of D, C sharp with 7 sharps and B with 5 sharps. But it makes no difference because the hand is handling it as a unit all the time. And I really appreciate that. Now you'd like to do a thumb 1-finger scale just to show them how easy it is. Just balance on the thumb and it can do anything. We don't start out, Emmanuel, with a thumb that's way out here and the hand way over there. We balance the thumb. We get vibrato through it. It feels good. I can pull back on it this way. Go to it. All right, that's about enough. Now can you come back and maybe open out with this hand if you want to. Thank you, Emmanuel. You can see how we can balance the hand through this. Now we will just come really right down here to our first position and we will begin to balance our hand all over again. Balance of the hand means so much. We can play through it so easily. Emmanuel, do 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 just on the same note. So that's passing the center balance of the hand right through it. That's fine. Now that's the center balance. Go on. Now that's the center balance. All right, go ahead. Now that's the center balance. All right, do Joy to the World right there for us for fun. And that's the beginning of our shaping of our hand so that we can play a difficult scale, or play a scale fast, let me say, or anyway, and let the hand hold the shape. Now, would you just, I think, play a C major scale and show us how we can learn to play it fast and yet play it in tune by taking each new note slowly so we hear it, so the ear hears it. We're never passing over something. Go to it. Thank you, Emmanuel. That was just beautiful. I know he would have wanted to go up another octave. Yes. Now we come to a subject which is probably one of the most important subjects for the cello. People ask me over and over, how do you teach vibrato? And I say, I don't have to teach it. I've never had to teach vibrato to any student that I have started. And that is because vibrato grows out of all the things we've been doing here today. It is the result of good playing. It is the result of center balance. It is the result of having the finger very well balanced and able to move. I sometimes think it's like a tightrope walker who is balancing himself so beautifully on one spot that he's swaying all over. And the vibrato is the clear center of the note taken in suction. It is a beautiful thing, and it can be handled so easily if we begin that way. Now, I do not mean that a vibrato does not have to be developed. It does have to be developed. We can make, as we saw in Carol's playing, faster, slower, all sorts of vibratos. We want to develop it, but the roots of vibrato are right in the absolutely natural start of every single player. Now we've practically come to the end of what we are going to do, and I want to come back to the center again, the center, which is the thing that the artist engineer, the flowing from the center out of everything that we do. And I hope that these little demonstrations really tie into concepts for you, that we do get the concept of balance, of the importance of the whole before the parts, of the brain-ear taking control, of playing from the inside out. Then I think we will begin to have our great simplicities, a beautiful tone, a rhythm that is alive, a clear intonation, and musical understanding. And I think that you will agree with me that the cello's a great instrument. Thank you.